Good morning, guys. So last week we started working through some of our planets and we worked our way out, if you remember, from the sun, and we talked about the planets of Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And those planets are specials because we call them our rocky planet because they have a hard surface. They're made out of rocks. So we're going to work our way out into the next four planets in our solar system, which we call them gas giants. They don't have a solid surface. They're made of gases. So if you actually went to stand on them, if you could, you would fall flat through because it doesn't have a solid surface. So this is our model of the Earth. And why I wanted to show it to you again today is because we're going to compare it to Jupiter, which Jupiter is our biggest planet in the solar system. So Jupiter is huge. It's so much bigger than the Earth and the other planets. So Jupiter, the biggest planet, and you can see from the picture and on this, it has all these different lines of swirling gases all the way around it. So it's what we call a gas giant, which means that it's big and made out of gas instead of rock. So the book we're going to read about it is called Jupiter, the Biggest Planet. All right. What's the biggest planet in our solar system? Jupiter. Jupiter is the fifth planet from the sun. So let's look. Remember, here's the sun. Then we had Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Look, they're much smaller, and there are rocky planets. And then Jupiter is right out here as our largest. And this is where we start our gas giants. The planet is huge. More than 1,000 Earths could fit inside Jupiter. So that's how much smaller Earth is than Jupiter. Jupiter is a giant ball of mostly gases and liquids. It's covered with stripes. The stripes are thick, gassy clouds. So you can see red, brown, yellow, and white stripes. These are all different types of gases that are swirling around. There is a big spot on Jupiter. The spot is a giant storm. And this is close up of the storm on Jupiter. So you can see it swirling all around. This storm started more than 300 years ago. So this is one storm. Think about it. When we have a storm, the storm maybe lasts a couple hours most of the time. Sometimes it can last a couple days, but that's it. This is a storm that has gone on for 300 years. Winds on Jupiter can blow more than 425 miles per hour. That's twice as fast as Earth's strongest hurricane. So it would be like being in the worst hurricane we've ever had all the time. Very strong wind. A spacecraft, Galileo, has circled Jupiter. Its trip from Earth to Jupiter took 6 years. So we sent Galileo up from Earth, and it took 6 years just to get there to take pictures and go around Jupiter. The spacecraft took photos of Jupiter's 67 moons. These moons orbit or travel around the planet. So where we have the one moon that goes around, remember Earth? Jupiter has 67 different moons. Because it's so big, it pulls those different rocks and space objects around it to orbit it. One of Jupiter's largest moons is Europa. Scientists believe Europa has water. Water means there could be life. So they're thinking maybe it could be there. So let's look at our graph. Remember, we said a graph or a chart sometimes in a nonfiction book. Remember, nonfiction means real, helps us compare information. So Jupiter is the fifth planet from the sun. The Earth is the third planet from the sun. But look at this size. The Earth, remember, is just a little under 8,000 miles across. Look at this, 86,881 miles across. So Jupiter is huge. And then Jupiter's average temperature is negative 234 degrees. Remember, ours is 59 degrees. So they are like 300 degrees colder than our average temperature. And then Jupiter has at least 67. Jupiter has at least 67 moons. They're not even quite sure because we've only got the one satellite to go around it, and there could be another moon that either the satellite didn't get a good picture of, or they might have counted, didn't count one of the moons when they were trying to count them all, compared to our one moon. And so our glossary, some of the words that we need to know is gases. Remember, gases are things that float in the air, and they're not liquid and they're not solid. And most of the time, gases are invisible. And then orbit, remember, means to go around a planet or the sun. Solar system is everything that circles our sun, and then a spacecraft is a vehicle that can travel in space. All right, so what you guys are going to do now is I want you to think about some of the information that you learned about Jupiter, and you are actually going to connect to Seesaw, and I want you to draw. Remember, you're going to draw what Jupiter looks like. So remember, we learned that Jupiter has those stripes and of all those swirling different gases, and it goes from orange to brown to white. And then I want you to tell me some facts about Jupiter. What can you tell me? Well, the biggest thing about Jupiter is it's the biggest planet. That could be one of your facts, but think of some of the other facts. What's it made out of? Remember, it's different than the planets we've already talked about. What does it look like? Is it farther away from the Earth? Is it closer to the Earth? I want you to think about some facts that you learned about it, okay? Remember what a big fact is, you could say, remember, what is this big spot on Jupiter? We learned that it's a storm. That's right. All right, I am so excited to see your drawings. You can tell me what Jupiter looks like, and then also for you to tell me the facts you've learned about Jupiter. All right, guys, you did a great job. Thank you.